For most of human history, the ocean floor was invisible, not unknown, not mysterious, literally invisible. We sailed across it, fought wars on it, traded over it, and depended on it for survival, without ever seeing what was beneath us. And because we couldn't see it, we assumed there was nothing important down there. That assumption is now collapsing. Because in just the last few decades, new ocean mapping technology has started revealing something uncomfortable. The seafloor isn't empty, it's structured, it's shaped, and in some places, it looks disturbingly familiar. Tonight, we're not talking about myths or legends. We're talking about how modern ocean mapping is quietly rewriting parts of human history, and why we're only just beginning to understand what we lost to the sea, how little of the ocean we actually knew. Until very recently, our understanding of the ocean floor was shockingly primitive. For most of the 20th century, the best maps we had were rough guesses, depth estimates taken from weighted ropes. Later, basic sonar that could only tell us how deep something was not what it was. Imagine trying to understand Earth's history by looking only at mountain peaks and ignoring everything below sea level. That's exactly what we were doing. Entire continents of human activity, coastlines, river mouths, migration routes were underwater, and we simply pretended they didn't matter. Not because we denied them, but because we couldn't see them. The technology that changed everything. Everything changed when high-resolution sonar mapping arrived. Multibeam sonar doesn't just measure depth. It paints the seafloor in detail. Ridges, channels, terraces, ancient riverbeds. Later came satellite-based gravity mapping, which detects subtle changes in Earth's gravitational field, revealing underwater features without ever touching the water. Suddenly, the ocean floor wasn't flat anymore. It had structure, and structure tells a story. The first shock drowned river systems. One of the first discoveries that forced historians to pay attention was drowned river systems. Modern sonar began detecting massive river channels beneath today's oceans, complete with bends, branches, and floodplains. These weren't cracks in rock. They were rivers. Rivers that could only have formed when sea levels were much lower, which means humans didn't just pass through these areas. They lived there. Rivers are where civilizations begin. Coastlines that don't match our timeline. And as mapping improved, scientists noticed something else. Underwater coastlines appeared far beyond today's shores. Ancient beaches, cliffs, and terraces preserved beneath the sea. These weren't random shapes. They matched periods when sea levels were stable for thousands of years, long enough for people to settle, long enough to build, long enough to leave traces. But because these coastlines are now underwater, they never made it into our historical models. History, as we wrote it, simply stopped at the shoreline. Why this matters for human history? Most early human civilizations were coastal, not because they loved the ocean, but because coastlines offer food, trade, and easy movement. When sea levels rose after the last ice age, these communities didn't collapse dramatically. They drowned quietly. And when archaeology developed centuries later, it focused on dry land. The result? A huge gap in our understanding of history. We built timelines based on what survived, not on what existed. Unbelievable. Underwater oddities you won't expect. As mapping reached even higher resolution, something unexpected appeared. Flat platforms, straight edges, shapes that are all about angles and lines. Underwater, not proof of cities, not proof of advanced civilizations, but proof that the seafloor preserves detail for better than we assumed. Features that would have been destroyed on land by erosion survived underwater, protected by sediment, which means the ocean isn't just a destroyer of history. In some ways, it's a vault. A drowned land beneath the North Sea. One of the most important discoveries comes from beneath the North Sea. High-resolution ocean mapping revealed an enormous drowned landscape, ancient forests, rolling hills, winding rivers, and freshwater lakes. This land once formed a natural bridge between what is now Britain and mainland Europe. At the time, it was not ocean, it was habitable land. Mapping didn't just outline the terrain. It allowed researchers to identify exact locations where human activity once existed. Fishing tools, animal remains, traces of human presence buried beneath layers of sediment. Before modern mapping, this region was only suspected to exist. There was no clear proof. After mapping, its existence became undeniable, and that discovery forced a powerful realization. If an entire human landscape could disappear here without a trace on land, how many other lost regions lie hidden beneath today's oceans? Why this challenges our comfortable history. Modern history prefers clean timelines. Agriculture begins here, cities appear there, civilization spreads in neat lines. But underwater mapping suggests something messier. It suggests multiple coastal cultures' gradual loss instead of sudden collapse. Knowledge carried inland after coastlines vanished. It doesn't rewrite history. It complicates it. And complexity makes people uncomfortable. Can you believe we totally missed out on this for such a long time? This wasn't ignorance. It was limitation. We didn't have the tools. We didn't have the resolution. We didn't have the computing power. And because we couldn't see the ocean floor clearly, we assumed it held nothing important. Mapping proved that assumption wrong. The ocean floor is a time capsule. Unlike land, the seafloor changes slowly. No farming, no construction, no constant human disturbance. Once something is buried underwater, it can remain preserved for thousands of years. This flips the old idea upside down. The ocean didn't erase all history. It hid it. WH80 we're only beginning to understand right now. We've mapped only a fraction of the ocean floor in high detail. Most of it remains blurry, which means the discoveries we're talking about aren't the conclusion. They're the beginning. Future mapping will likely reveal more drowned landscapes, more migration routes, more missing chapters, not ancient empires rising from the sea, but ordinary human history finally being seen. The quiet revolution. This isn't a loud discovery. There's no single headline, no dramatic reveal, just better data, slowly correcting our assumptions. And sometimes the most powerful revolutions happen quietly. For thousands of years, the ocean shaped humanity. Then it rose, and we forgot what it took. Now, with new mapping technology, we're not discovering the past. We're remembering it, piece by piece, contour by contour, line by line beneath the waves. And as the ocean continues to change again today, one question remains: what parts of our world will future maps reveal? Long after we're gone, you definitely don't want to miss out, so hit that subscribe button.